Writer Neal Collins, he's in our Johannesburg bureau. Neal, great to speak to you again. So many branches to this story across the globe, but a lot of the roads seem to lead through South Africa right now. We know about the US investigation, the separate Swiss one. Does that mean South African police are going to end up getting involved too?
I know the opposition here wanted, Alex, they wanted the Hawks, as we call them here, to get involved. There are kind of special investigators in South Africa. There doesn't seem to be much political will for that because, of course, the corruption scandal goes to the very top in this country. What interests me is that today we're doorstopping Danny Jordaan. You had some nice footage. Danny now also the mayor of Port Elizabeth and the SAFA president, heavily implicated in the $10 million. But of course the chairman of that bid and the local organising committee, Dr. Irving Koza, he also runs South African football. He's head of the local professional league. And of course his daughter has got an illegitimate son by the president of this country, Jacob Zuma. Makes it very, very difficult to examine and investigate these things properly when that kind of liaison is happening. It's a huge can of worms, if you want. And to hear Jack Warner say, one of the Australian guys there saying Jack Warner wanted more money, well, it's like a man in the desert wanting more water, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. And as you say, there's a bit of a jaded attitude, isn't there, in South Africa, because they've witnessed so many stories of corruption on a political level, whereas, of course, the rest of the world are tuning into this for the first time because of its connection to FIFA. I know from your time in the UK, you keep an overall view on this. What's your opinion of how much trouble FIFA is in right now?
Well, obviously, as a British journalist, you've kind of grown up, you're weaned on the idea that FIFA and Sepp Blatter are corrupt. Come to South Africa, they consider Sepp Blatter to be a bit of a hero for bringing the World Cup to Africa and for standing up for the smaller nations. We often get a distorted view in Britain of how important British football is, or European football. Certainly when you live in Africa, when you live in the Caribbean, you tend to think they deserve a bit of a better crack. We had a great World Cup. I spent years of my life making sure everyone thought we'd have a great World Cup instead of the scandalous stories that appeared in some of the European press. Now when you sit here and you watch this argument happening in South Africa, did we give the money to help the African diaspora? Did we give $10 million to Jack Warner and then just forget to check it was spent in the right places? You're right, we're a little bit resigned to corruption and some fantastic corruption stories you get in South Africa about this thing. Football in this country desperately needs an overhaul, just like FIFA does, just like the African Football Union with Issa Hayatou needs an overhaul. But the most shocking thing of all, I think, is to remember that all the African votes on the exec in 2004 were going to go to Morocco and not to South Africa in 2010. What choice did Danny Jordaan have but to make sure Jack Warner voted for South Africa? I don't really think he had a choice after what happened in 2006 when Germany pipped us by a vote. South Africa needed that World Cup. Danny Jordaan did what he had to do within the confines of FIFA at the time.